Hello, hello, people of the internet. Ian Althazar, the Freedom Astrologer, once again here. And we're continuing with our Spiritual Awakening series, or Spiritual Awakening through Astrology series. And those of you who haven't seen the first video, please go and check out the first video to kind of know what this series is about. And check that out first. But in this video, we're going to be diving into phase 2. And in the first video, we kind of did the introduction and phase 1, which was called the coming storm. And now we're in the second phase of our spiritual awakening journey. And this journey, or this phase, I called In the Eye of the Storm. Now, a lot of what we spoke in the first video was kind of like what is leading up to. What is, you kind of see the signs, you start to see some problems emerging, some sort of mini crises emerging here and there. But now, when we hit the eye of the storm, now it's important to understand that in these cases, we're talking about exact Pluto transits and progression. Let's say configurations when the aspects are or the configurations are exact. Also, solar arc and solar return as well. So we're talking about conjunctions. We're talking about oppositions, and we're also talking about squares, mostly with Pluto, and kind of like the more difficult transformational journeys and kind of more difficult spiritual awakening journeys. And this is I think one of the most, we can say, difficult phases of our spiritual awakening, because this is really where the kind of shit really hits the fan. So if you remember in the first video, we're kind of like seeing glimpses here and there, maybe mini crises here and there, but now this is when the conjunctions. So Pluto becoming exact is what we're talking about in the eye of the storm, and we're talking about. I will kind of reaffirm or reiterate Pluto conjunct the ascendant, Pluto square opposition the ascendant, or the ascendant a ruler as well. These are really the moments in time where things, crises, problems, sometimes transformational events are kind of unpleasant happen. So here we're talking about divorce, we're talking about relationships ending, we're talking about work ending, we're talking about death, even around you in some shape or form, people leaving this life. And I know these are kind of very difficult topics to discuss and kind of dissect, but these are usually what happen in the eye of the storm, because this is where the kind of awakening really starts to happen. Because guys, what happens very often when we are in the midst of these kind of transformational experiences, also our, let's say, other senses, our other gifts, our other ways of seeing things, other ways of being, other powers that we might possess somewhere deep within our consciousness, they also start to emerge. Now, having said that, in the eye of the storm, it's sometimes very hard to start to see that, but very common themes are Kundalini openings. The energy from your spine starts to kind of run through spontaneously. There's sensations that you're feeling while going through all of these kind of difficult moments. And then during phase 2, and it's very hard to kind of do, but some some kind of words of wisdom or words of guidance I will give you with phase 2. In my mind, one of the most difficult ones. Whenever you start to control or hold on or kind of make it so that, like, control the situation in a way that you perceive that you won't have to experience some sort of transformation, some sort of, again, some similar difficult event that I just spoke of. If you start to control these situations during phase 2, which is a very, very natural occurrence and very kind of normal way of doing things, obviously, because nobody wants to have these transformations kind of constantly going on in their life, and it's kind of difficult to go through. It's kind of hard to go through, obviously. But if you start to control these situations, usually what I've seen with Pluto, it kind of starts to manifest even more and more and more and more. So the words of wisdom I have here is to, trust the process as much as you can with the Pluto, let's say, in the eye of the storm. If some people are literally leaving your life in whichever way, in whichever shape or form, allow them to go, allow them to leave. If obviously if they're not willing to, let's say, if let's say the relationship is there, and kind of you're offering, let's change it, let's transform it, let's look deep within ourselves and look at our relationship, maybe we can transform this. That's also a good example of how to use Pluto, for example, in relationships. But very often with Pluto and kind of like these transformations, is it's almost like it's time for that to go, depending on now the literally the desire and the will of the people involved. I think, and I've seen this as well, you can shift and transform and kind of raise that relationship to another level. If we're talking about relationship, it can be obviously with work, but sometimes these events that come are so much out of our control, and this is one of the reasons why the phase 2 is super hard to handle, because we can't transform everything on our own. Sometimes people are old, for example, their time is up on this planet and need to leave, need to go on the next journey. So these with these we can't control, we can't really do anything. We need to let go, we need to start trusting, we need to basically grieve. I think grieving during phase 2 and allowing things to go are really, really important and a big part of kind of making the best of phase 2, if you want to say it like that. But making it the best of such difficult and transformational moments in our lives are at times quite difficult to do. So let's look at some astrology here a little bit. We can see a broad an example where I think it illustrates quite well, where Pluto is literally exactly on the ascendant, and so it's a very, very tight conjunction. So we are looking for these, and Pluto also conjunct, opposite, square the ascendant ruler or the ascendant. So these are really, really, really or the ascendant ruler switching into the sign of Scorpio, switching into the sign or the 8th house by progression, by even solar arc, and similar conjunctions, squares, and oppositions in solar arc and progressions as well. We're looking for all of these, and the more we have these, the more the intensity is there, the more the transformation is there, the more the eye of the storm truly is there. So really wishing, if you're watching this video and you're kind of in that very deep transformational space, and a lot parts of your life and old ways of being and relationships are kind of falling away, and even metaphorically kind of dying. This is a good indication that you're actually in the eye of the storm, or in kind of like what I like to call phase 2 of the spiritual awakening. This is literally a time where it's hard to sometimes navigate, because so much is happening, so much transformation is happening in your life. And I really wish you kind of like a groundedness in it all as much as possible, to let go and to kind of trust life in all of this. And then in the next video, we're going to talk about a bit of a, let's say, more of an optimistic phase as well. So thanks so much for watching, listening, guys, and see you soon in the next video.